I've been running for 3 years. 3 years of new cities, new names, new faces. 3 years of looking over my shoulder, sleeping with one eye open, and trusting no one. Tonight, my past just walked through the front door. The Jade Lily was packed for a Friday night. I moved through the dinner rush like a ghost, tray balanced, smile fixed, eyes scanning every face and every exit out of habit. The upscale Korean restaurant attracted Koreatown's elite. Businessmen closing deals over soju. Celebrities who wanted to be seen. And sometimes, men whose money came from places nobody asked about. I'd worked here 8 months. Long enough to learn the rhythm. Long enough to seem ordinary. Long enough to feel almost safe. Almost. Mira. Table 6 needs refills. Sumin breezed past me, her tray loaded with appetizers. She was chatty, warm, and completely unable to mind her own business. Also, Mr. Park is losing his mind over the private room tonight. Some big client. I glanced toward our manager. He stood near the kitchen, wringing his hands, sweat beading on his forehead despite the air conditioning. Who's the client? I asked. Sumin shrugged. No idea. But whoever it is, Park looks like he's about to have a heart attack. She disappeared into the crowd before I could respond. I grabbed a water pitcher and headed for table 6, weaving between servers and busboys. My hair was pulled back tight. No jewelry. No makeup beyond the basics. Nothing memorable. Nothing distinctive. That was the point. Invisible people don't get found. You're quiet tonight, Sumin said when we crossed paths again near the bar. Quieter than usual, I mean. Just tired. You're always tired. She tilted her head, studying me. You know, in 8 months, I don't think you've told me a single thing about yourself. No family stories. No ex-boyfriend drama. Nothing. I smiled. It didn't reach my eyes. Nothing interesting to tell. Everyone has something interesting to tell. Not me. She opened her mouth to push further, but the front door swung open and Mr. Park practically ran to greet whoever had arrived. I turned to look. And my blood turned to ice. He walked in like he owned the place. Tall. Broad shoulders beneath a perfectly tailored black suit. Dark hair swept back from a face that was sharp and cold and devastatingly handsome. The kind of face you'd see in magazines, if magazines featured men who could order your death without blinking. Kang Jae-sun. I knew that face. I'd seen it in photographs, in news articles, in the nightmares that had haunted me for 3 years. He was the head of the Baekho Syndicate's American operations. Son of the man I'd killed. 4 men flanked him, all in dark suits, all with the dead-eyed look of soldiers who'd seen things that would break normal people. They scanned the restaurant with practiced efficiency, exits, threats, positions. I forced myself to breathe. To stay still. To not run. He'd never seen my face. I'd been hidden that night. Careful. Invisible. He didn't know who I was. I just had to survive this dinner. Mr. Park led them to the private dining room, bowing so low I thought he might fall over. Jae-sun barely acknowledged him. His eyes swept the restaurant once, clinical, assessing, and for one terrifying second, they landed on me. I looked down immediately. Grabbed my tray. Walked toward the kitchen. Don't run. Don't react. You're no one. You're nothing. Just another waitress. Mira. Mr. Park appeared at my elbow, his voice tight with anxiety. You're serving the private room tonight. My stomach dropped. Sumin usually handles private parties. Sumin is busy. You'll do it. He was gone before I could argue. I stood there for a long moment, tray clutched in my hands, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. 3 years. 3 years of running, hiding, becoming someone else. And now I had to serve drinks to the son of the man I'd murdered. The private dining room was quieter than the main restaurant. Elegant. Intimate. The kind of place where deals were made and secrets were kept. Jason sat at the head of the table, his men arranged around him like chess pieces. He was reading something on his phone when I entered, but he looked up the moment the door opened. His eyes found mine. Dark. Intense. Unreadable. Good evening. My voice was steady. A miracle. Can I get you started with drinks? Water for the table, he said. His voice was low, smooth, with just enough accent to remind you he wasn't from here. And a bottle of the Wayo 41. Of course. I moved around the table, pouring water, keeping my head down. But I could feel his gaze following me. Not the way drunk businessmen stared, all hunger and entitlement. This was different. This was focused. Like he was trying to figure something out. What's your name? He asked as I set down his glass. The question caught me off guard. Customers didn't ask names. To them, we were furniture. Functional and forgettable. Mira, I said. Mira. He repeated it slowly, like he was testing how it felt on his tongue. That's not Korean. No, sir. American? Yes, sir. A pause. His eyes traced my face, my posture, my hands. I felt stripped bare under that gaze. You move like someone who's always watching the exits, he said quietly. Why is that? My heart stuttered. I don't know what you mean. I think you do. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The air felt thick, charged with something I couldn't name. Then one of his men cleared his throat, and the spell broke. The soju, Jason said, dismissing me with a wave. Don't keep us waiting. I left the room faster than I should have. The next hour was torture. Every time I entered the private room, his eyes followed me. Every time I poured a drink or cleared a plate, I felt his attention like a hand on my spine. He didn't say anything else to me directly, but the watching never stopped. He was curious about me. That was dangerous. By 9 o'clock, the main dining room had descended into chaos. Gerald Whitmore and his friends had graduated from loud to obnoxious, their table littered with empty bottles and the wreckage of their appetizers. Gerald was the worst of them. Red-faced, sweating through his expensive shirt, grabbing at every waitress who passed. I'd watched him make 2 servers cry tonight. I stayed away from his table. I had enough problems. But then I made the mistake of cutting through the dining room on my way back from the private room, and Gerald's hand shot out and grabbed my wrist. Hey. His breath reeked of whiskey. I've been waiting 20 minutes for another round. I'm not your server, sir. I kept my voice calm. Let me find. I don't care whose server you are. He yanked me closer, fingers digging into my skin hard enough to bruise. Get me a drink. Sir, please let go. His eyes narrowed. You people really don't know your place anymore, do you? The restaurant went quiet. Not silent, but that tense, held breath quiet where everyone pretends not to hear. Sir. Back in the day, you would have been grateful for this job. He was loud now, playing to his audience. Would have known how to treat your betters. I should have smiled and apologized. Should have fetched his drink and walked away. But something in me snapped. For 1 second, just one, I let him see it. The anger. The steel. The woman who had walked through blood and come out the other side. Gerald saw it. And it enraged him. His hand came up fast. Palm open. The crack of his slap echoed through the restaurant as my head snapped to the side. I stumbled. Tasted blood where my teeth cut my cheek. No one moved. No one spoke. The other diners stared at their plates like cowards. Then I heard it. A chair scraping back. Footsteps. Slow and deliberate. I looked up, hand pressed to my burning face. Kang Jae-sun stood in the doorway of the private room. His expression was calm. Blank. But his eyes were fixed on me. And in them, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Recognition. He spoke in rapid Korean to one of his men. I caught only fragments, but I understood enough. Lock the doors. The click of the front entrance. The kitchen door. The emergency exit. Every way out, sealed. Gerald's face went pale. What the hell is this? Who do you think you are? Jason didn't look at him. He was still looking at me. Only at me. No one leaves, he said quietly, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade, until I say so. If you are enjoying this video, kindly do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 2. The silence lasted exactly 3 seconds. Then chaos erupted. What the hell do you think you're doing? Gerald shoved back from his table, face purple with rage and alcohol. Do you know who I am? I'll have your ass in court so fast. Sir, please. Mr. Park rushed forward, hands raised, voice trembling. Please, let me handle this. I'm sure we can. Handle this? Gerald jabbed a finger toward Jason. This psycho just locked us in here. Call the police. No one moved. No one reached for their phones. Because everyone in that restaurant, everyone except Gerald and his idiot friends, understood exactly what kind of man had just sealed them inside. The expensive suits. The dead-eyed soldiers at every exit. The way Mr. Park looked like he might faint. This wasn't a businessman throwing his weight around. This was something far more dangerous. I stayed frozen where I'd fallen, hands still pressed to my throbbing cheek, blood pooling in my mouth. My mind screamed at me to run, to fight, to do something, but there was nowhere to go. Every exit was blocked. Every window too small. I was trapped. And Jason was still looking at me. Only at me. Mr. Kong. Mr. Park's voice cracked. Please. I'm sure this is all a misunderstanding. The girl, she's new, she probably did something to offend. She did nothing. Jason's voice was quiet. Calm. Terrifying. She was assaulted in your establishment. By that man. He finally looked at Gerald, and something in his gaze made even the drunk idiot take a step back. I'll ask you once, Jason said, walking toward Gerald's table with the unhurried grace of a predator who knew his prey had nowhere to run. Why did you put your hands on my waitress? Gerald's courage was fueled by whiskey and stupidity, a dangerous combination. Your waitress? He laughed, the sound too loud, too forced. Listen, pal, I don't know what kind of Chinese mafia bullshit you're into, but this is America. We have laws here. You can't just. Korean. What? I'm Korean. Not Chinese. Jason stopped in front of Gerald's table, hands clasped behind his back. Though I suspect the distinction is lost on someone like you. Gerald's face twisted. Someone like me? You're the one who. Someone who puts his hands on women. Someone who thinks money makes him untouchable. Jason tilted his head, studying Gerald like he was an insect. Someone who uses words like, you people, and thinks there won't be consequences. Are you threatening me? I don't make threats. Gerald puffed up, drunk bravado overriding whatever survival instincts he had left. You know what? I'm done with this. Boys, we're leaving. He turned toward the door. Get out of my way before I. He didn't finish. Jason moved so fast I almost missed it. One moment he was standing there, calm and still. The next, he had Gerald's wrist in his grip, and then he twisted. The crack of breaking bone echoed through the restaurant. Gerald screamed. A high, animal sound that made several diners flinch. He dropped to his knees, cradling his shattered wrist, tears streaming down his face. Jesus Christ. One of Gerald's friends lunged forward. What the fuck is wrong with? He didn't finish either. Two of Jason's men materialized from nowhere, slamming the friend into the table hard enough to scatter glasses and silverware. The third friend tried to run and found himself face down on the floor with a knee in his back. It was over in seconds. Gerald whimpered on the ground, snot and tears mixing on his face. His broken wrist hung at a wrong angle, already swelling. The man who'd been so proud and loud and cruel 5 minutes ago was now a blubbering wreck. Jason stepped over him like he was garbage. "Ladies and gentlemen." His voice carried through the silent restaurant, calm and measured. "I apologize for the disruption to your evening. You will all be compensated generously for your time and discretion." No one responded. No one moved. "However, I have business to conclude before anyone leaves. You will remain here. Your phones will be collected. If you cooperate, no harm will come to you." He paused. "If you don't cooperate, well, you've seen what happens to people who displease me." He nodded to his men. What followed was efficient and terrifying. Jason's soldiers moved through the restaurant like ghosts, collecting phones, wallets, anything that could be used to communicate or identify. The diners handed everything over without protest. Even Gerald's friends, still pinned to the floor, didn't resist. The staff was herded together near the bar. Sumin found me in the chaos, her face pale, eyes wide with fear. "Mira." She grabbed my arm. "What's happening? Who are these people?" "I don't know," I lied. "That man, he looked at you. Before he did any of this, he was looking at you." I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because she was right. And I had no idea why. He didn't know me. He couldn't know me. I'd been so careful. "You." One of Jason's men appeared in front of us. He was tall, stone-faced, with the kind of eyes that had seen things that would give normal people nightmares. He pointed at me. "Come with me." "Wait." Sumin stepped forward. "Where are you taking her?" "She didn't do anything." "It's okay." I squeezed her hand, then let go. "I'll be fine." I wouldn't be fine. I knew that. But there was nothing either of us could do about it. The private dining room felt smaller now. Jason stood by the window, looking out at the city lights. He'd removed his jacket, rolled up his sleeves. His forearms were lean and muscled, marked with faded scars that told stories I didn't want to know. The door closed behind me. Locked. We were alone. "Sit," he said without turning around. There was a chair in the center of the room. It hadn't been there before. I sat. The silence stretched. 1 minute. 2. He was making me wait on purpose, letting the tension build, letting my imagination do his work for him. Finally, he turned. "What's your name?" he asked. "Mira James." "Where are you from, Mira James?" "Chicago." "How long have you worked here?" 8 months. He nodded slowly, crossing the room to stand in front of me. Close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. "You're lying," he said. Matter of fact. No anger. "I'm not." "Your accent." He circled behind me, and I fought the urge to turn, to keep him in my sight line. "You said you're from Chicago. But there's no Midwest in your voice. It's flatter. More careful. Like someone who's trained themselves to sound like they're from nowhere." I said nothing. He appeared on my other side, still circling. "Your hands." A waitress develops calluses from carrying trays, from gripping plates. "You have those. But you also have older calluses. Here." He grabbed my hand before I could pull away, running his thumb across my palm. "And here. Between your thumb and forefinger. From gripping something else." My heart hammered. I stayed silent. "A knife, maybe." He released my hand. "Or a gun." "I don't know what you're talking about." He stopped in front of me again. Crouched down so we were eye level. 3 years ago, he said quietly, 7 men were murdered in Seoul. A penthouse in Gangnam. Single killer. Professional. Efficient. Every target eliminated in under 6 minutes. I kept my face blank. Empty. It was the only thing keeping me alive. Those men were the leaders of the Baekho syndicate. My father. My uncles. The men who built an empire. He paused. My family. I didn't blink. Didn't breathe. The killer was never found. But there was evidence of a witness. Security footage, corrupted but not destroyed. A woman. Fleeing the building. His eyes bored into mine. She vanished. New identity. New life. We've been hunting her for 3 years. He leaned closer. So close I could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive and dangerous. I think, he said softly, that I've finally found her. I ran. I didn't think. Didn't plan. My body just moved, up from the chair, toward the door, survival instinct overriding everything else. I made it 3 steps. His hand closed around my arm and he spun me, slamming my back against the wall hard enough to knock the air from my lungs. His forearm pressed against my collarbone, pinning me in place. His body was a wall of heat and muscle and barely contained violence. Running confirms guilt, he said calmly. You know that. I don't know what you're talking about. My voice was steady. A miracle. I'm just a waitress. You have the wrong person. Do I? Yes. He studied my face for a long moment. Then he smiled, a cold, empty expression that didn't reach his eyes. I'm not going to kill you, he said. Not yet. Something loosened in my chest. Relief. Premature, probably, but... First, he continued, you're going to tell me why you did it. Why you helped him murder my family. The relief vanished. What? The man you were working with. The one who actually pulled the trigger. His grip tightened on my arm. I want his name. I want to know where he is. And then I want to watch him die. I stared at him, confusion cutting through my fear. He thought I was the witness. Not the killer. He thought someone else murdered his family. But there was no one else. I worked alone. I planned it alone. I executed it alone. I don't. I shook my head. I don't know what you're talking about. Still lying. He released me, stepping back. That's fine. We have all night. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a photograph. Grainy. Black and white. Security footage. This was taken the night of the massacre, he said. 20 minutes after the killings. A man, leaving the penthouse through the service entrance. He held the photograph up to my face. And my world collapsed. The image was blurry, corrupted by age and poor quality. But I knew that face. I knew that walk. I knew every line and angle because I'd grown up beside him, protected him, killed for him. Marcus. My brother. Marcus was in that penthouse. After I left. After I killed 7 men and fled into the night, believing I'd left no trace. What was he doing there? You recognize him. Jason's voice was soft. Satisfied. I can see it in your face. I couldn't speak. Couldn't think. Marcus. My little brother. The one I destroyed my life to save. What had he done? If you are enjoying this video, kindly do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 3 Seoul. 3 years ago. 7 men lay dead at my feet. Blood pooled on the marble floor, spreading in dark rivers that caught the light from the floor-to-ceiling windows. The Seoul skyline glittered beyond the glass, a million lights, a million people, all oblivious to what had just happened in this penthouse. I stood in the center of the carnage, gun still warm in my hand. My fingers trembled. Not from fear. Not from regret. From adrenaline. From rage. From the terrible, savage satisfaction of vengeance finally complete. They'd taken my brother. Tortured him. Sent me his finger in a velvet box like it was a gift. Now they were dead. All of them. I should have felt something. Horror, maybe. Guilt. Some flicker of the girl I used to be, the graduate student who believed in justice, in systems, in doing things the right way. But that girl died the moment I opened that box. The woman who remained felt nothing but cold, empty triumph. It's done, I thought. Marcus is safe. It's finally done. I wiped down the gun, left it beside the body of the man who'd ordered my brother's kidnapping, and walked out of the penthouse without looking back. I didn't know that 20 minutes later, someone else would walk in. I didn't know that everything I'd sacrificed, everything I'd become, was built on a lie. 4 years ago. I was 22. A graduate student at Yonsei University, studying international business on a scholarship I'd worked my entire life to earn. Seoul was supposed to be my fresh start. My future. Then Marcus came to visit. My little brother. 19 years old. Bright smile, easy charm, and a talent for finding trouble that I'd been bailing him out of since we were kids. He was supposed to stay for 2 weeks. See the sights. Let me show him the city I'd fallen in love with. He never came home. The Baekho syndicate took him. A gambling debt, they said. Not even his, some friend's debt that Marcus had stupidly vouched for. They didn't care about the distinction. They wanted their money, and Marcus was leverage. I tried everything legal first. The police. The embassy. Lawyers who took my money and gave me nothing but sympathetic looks and explanations about how these things worked in Korea. These people are dangerous, they said. There's nothing we can do. 2 months after Marcus disappeared, a package arrived at my apartment. Inside was a velvet box. Inside the box was my brother's finger. His pinky. Still wearing the ring our grandmother gave him before she died. The note said, $2 million. You have 1 month. We didn't have $2 million. We didn't have 200,000. Our mother worked 2 jobs and still couldn't make rent. Our father had been dead since I was 12. There was no cavalry coming. No one was going to save Marcus. So I decided to save him myself. I dropped out of school. Moved to a different part of the city. Changed my name, my appearance, everything. I spent a year preparing, learning Korean until I could pass for a native speaker, studying the syndicate structure until I knew every name and every face, training with weapons until the gun felt like an extension of my hand. I found out where they were keeping Marcus. I got him out. And then I went to that penthouse and killed every man responsible for hurting him. Or so I thought. Present. The photograph trembled in my hands. Marcus. My brother. The boy I'd destroyed my life to save, captured on security footage leaving the penthouse 20 minutes after I fled. You recognize him. Jae-sun's voice was soft, satisfied. Don't bother denying it. I don't, my voice cracked. I don't understand. Neither did we. At first. He took the photograph back, studying it with cold detachment. The footage was corrupted. It took years to recover. But 6 months ago, we finally got a clean image. Facial recognition did the rest. He tucked the photograph into his jacket. Your brother was identified as Marcus James. American. Last known address, Chicago, Illinois. A pause. We found him 3 weeks ago. My blood turned to ice. What? He's currently enjoying our hospitality in a warehouse in Long Beach. Jae-sun's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Alive. For now. Marcus was alive. Marcus was captured. By the same organization I tried to destroy 3 years ago. What do you want? The words came out hoarse, desperate. What do you want from me? The truth. He stepped closer, close enough that I could see the flecks of amber in his dark eyes. Give me the name of the man who killed my family. Tell me where to find him. And your brother goes free. The man who killed his family. He still thought I was just the witness. Still thought someone else pulled the trigger. I could lie. I could make up a name, send him chasing a ghost, buy myself time to figure out how to save Marcus. But lies had a way of unraveling. And if he discovered the truth, that I was the killer, that there was no mysterious assassin, Marcus would die. I need proof, I said. Proof that he's alive. Jason studied me for a moment. Then he pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, and held it up. A live feed. Grainy, but clear enough. Marcus sat in a metal chair, wrists bound behind his back, face bruised and swollen. One eye was nearly shut. Blood crusted his split lip. But he was breathing. Moving. Alive. Talk to him, Jason said. 1 minute. He pressed a button, and suddenly the feed had audio. I heard the echo of the warehouse, the drip of water somewhere in the distance. Marcus? My voice broke on his name. On the screen, my brother's head snapped up. His one good eye found the camera, widened with recognition, and then with something else. Horror. Mira? His voice was raw, wrecked. Mira, is that you? I'm here. Tears burned my eyes. I'm here, Marcus. I'm going to get you out of this. I'm going to. No. He shook his head frantically. No, Mira, listen to me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know they'd find you too. The words didn't make sense. What are you talking about? I thought I could keep you safe. I thought if I just, his voice cracked. I never wanted you involved in any of this. Marcus. Fear coiled in my stomach. What did you do? Silence. His head dropped, shoulders shaking. Tell her. A voice off camera. One of Jason's men, I assumed. Tell her the truth, or we start removing fingers. Marcus flinched. And then, in a voice I barely recognized, he started talking. The gambling debt was real, he said. But it wasn't why they took me. I was already working for them, Mira. For almost a year before you came to Seoul. The world tilted. What? I was a courier. Moving money, documents, sometimes other things between their operations. The debt, they used it as leverage. To keep me compliant. To make sure I didn't run. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. I never told you because I thought I could get out. I thought I could pay them off and disappear and you'd never have to know. He laughed bitterly. And then they cut off my finger and sent it to you, and everything went to hell. You let me think you were innocent. My voice was hollow. You let me. I know. I killed 7 people for you, Marcus. I destroyed my entire life. I know. He was crying now, tears cutting tracks through the blood on his face. And I let you. Because I was scared. Because I didn't know how to tell you the truth. Jason was watching me, I realized. Watching every flicker of emotion cross my face. Cataloging my reactions. I didn't care anymore. The night of the massacre, I said, forcing the words through numb lips. You were supposed to be my lookout. You were supposed to warn me if anyone came. Marcus went still. But you weren't outside, were you? My voice hardened. You went into that penthouse after I left. What did you take, Marcus? More silence. What did you take? A ledger. The words came out in a rush, like poison being purged. Financial records. Account numbers, contact names, the entire structure of their American operations. It was just sitting there, Mira. In the safe. And I thought if I had it, I could sell it. Start over. Get us both out. Sell it to who? He didn't answer. Who, Marcus? The Song faction. His voice was barely a whisper. They paid $2 million. $2 million. While I was running, hiding, working minimum wage jobs and sleeping in my car, my brother was sitting on $2 million. Blood money. Paid for with the corpses I created. You sold me out. The words felt like glass in my throat. You used what I did, what I became, to make yourself rich. I didn't sell you out. I never told them who killed. You didn't have to. You were there, Marcus. On camera. And now they've connected you to me, and... Jason plucked the phone from my hand. The screen went dark. Interesting, he said quietly. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Everything I'd believed for 3 years had just collapsed into rubble. You killed them. It wasn't a question anymore. He knew. Of course he knew. He'd watched me react to every revelation, every betrayal. My father. My uncles. You. They took my brother. The words came out hollow, empty. They tortured him. I didn't know he was. I couldn't finish. Jason opened his mouth to respond. And the world exploded. The blast threw me sideways, slamming me into the wall. Glass shattered. Alarms screamed. Smoke and dust filled the air, choking, blinding. I heard gunfire. Shouting. The thunder of boots on tile. The door burst open, and Dongwon, Jason's lieutenant, appeared, weapon drawn, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. Sir. He grabbed Jason's arm. The Song faction. They found us. They're breaching the front entrance. How? Jason's voice was ice. Dongwon's eyes flicked to me. The call. They must have traced it. Or the brother talked. Marcus. Marcus told them where to find him. And the video call led them straight to me. The Song faction wasn't here for my brother. They were here for me. The woman who knew too much. The killer who'd started a war. Jason grabbed my arm, hauling me to my feet. It seems, he said grimly, that we have a common enemy now. If you are enjoying this video, kindly do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 4. The second explosion came before I could find my footing. The wall behind us cracked, plaster raining down like snow. Somewhere in the restaurant, glass shattered. People screamed, high, terrified sounds that cut through the smoke and chaos. Jason's hand was iron around my arm, dragging me toward the door. Stay low, he ordered. Stay behind me. We burst into the hallway. Smoke hung thick in the air, burning my eyes, clawing at my throat. Emergency lights flickered red, casting everything in a hellish glow. Gunfire erupted from the main dining room. Short, controlled bursts, professional. These weren't amateurs. The Song faction had come to finish what my brother started 3 years ago. How many men do you have? I shouted over the noise. 8 inside. 4 on the perimeter. Jason pulled a gun from his holster, checked the magazine. The perimeter is already gone. 8 men against however many the Song faction had sent. Not good odds. We reached the end of the hallway. Jason pressed his back against the wall, peered around the corner, then pulled back as bullets tore chunks from the plaster inches from his face. 3 shooters, he said calmly, like he was discussing the weather. Advancing from the front entrance. Your men. Holding the dining room. For now. Another burst of gunfire. Another scream. The Song faction wasn't just attacking, they were pushing. Driving everyone deeper into the building. Towards something. I didn't have time to figure out what. The door to our left exploded inward, and a man in black tactical gear came through shooting. Jason shoved me aside, returning fire. The attacker dropped, but another appeared behind him, and this one was faster. He cleared the doorway before Jason could adjust his aim, weapon swinging toward us. I moved without thinking. 3 years hadn't dulled my training. The muscle memory was still there, buried beneath months of carrying trays and smiling at customers. My body remembered what my mind had tried to forget. I closed the distance before he could fire. Grabbed his gun arm. Twisted. The crack of his elbow breaking was barely audible over the chaos. He screamed, dropping the weapon. I caught it before it hit the ground, brought it up, and put 2 rounds in his chest. He fell. I stood over his body, breathing hard, the gun warm in my hands. Jason stared at me. "You really did kill them all yourself," he said quietly. Not a question. Not quite admiration. Something colder. More calculating. Every single one. For a long moment, we just looked at each other. 2 killers. 2 people with blood on their hands and nothing left to lose. "We need to move," I said. He nodded. For this moment, just this moment, we were allies. The main dining room was a war zone. Jason's men had overturned tables for cover, returning fire at the Song faction soldiers pouring through the shattered front entrance. Dong-won crouched behind the bar, blood streaming from a wound on his shoulder, still shooting with his other hand. The hostages, the diners, the staff, were huddled in the far corner, screaming, crying, trying to make themselves as small as possible. I spotted Su-min among them, her face pale but determined. She wasn't crying. She was counting heads. Making sure everyone was accounted for. While the world fell apart around her, she was trying to protect people. "We need to get the civilians out," I told Jason. "The kitchen exit is probably compromised." I watched the Song faction's movements, the way they were positioning themselves. Not trying to overwhelm. Trying to contain. They're not trying to kill everyone. They're hurting us. Hurting us where? I looked toward the kitchen. The industrial stoves. The gas lines. They're going to blow the building. Jason's jaw tightened. "You're sure?" "It's what I would do." He didn't argue. He turned to Dong-won. "Get the civilians to the service corridor. Now." Dong-won nodded, grabbing 2 of his men. They started moving toward the hostages, keeping low, using the overturned tables as cover. A Song faction soldier appeared from behind the bar, weapon raised toward the fleeing civilians. I dropped him before he could fire. 2 shots. Center mass. Jason watched me again. That same calculating look. "Stop staring and help me cover them," I snapped. Something that might have been respect flickered in his eyes. He raised his weapon and fell in beside me. We fought our way across the dining room. I'd like to say it was clean. Efficient. The kind of graceful violence you see in movies. It wasn't. It was brutal, desperate, and ugly. Bodies fell. Blood sprayed. The air filled with screams and gunfire and the copper-sharp stench of death. I killed 4 men in as many minutes. I didn't count. Didn't think. Just reacted. Aimed. Fired. Moved. The Song faction soldiers were well trained, but they'd expected to corner frightened hostages and overwhelmed guards. They hadn't expected me. In the chaos, I saw Su-min. She'd taken charge of the civilians, herding them toward the kitchen like Dong-won had ordered. But 2 Song faction gunmen had cut her off, blocking the corridor, weapons raised. Su-min stepped in front of the group. Arms spread. Shielding them with her body. "Please," she said, voice shaking but clear. "Please, we're not involved in this. Just let us go." The gunman laughed. I moved. I didn't think about cover. Didn't think about the exposed ground I had to cross or the bullets flying around me. I just ran. The first gunman saw me coming too late. My bullet caught him in the throat. He dropped, gurgling. The second swung toward me, but I was already inside his reach. I grabbed his weapon, redirected it, pulled the trigger with his finger still on it. The shot went wild. I drove my elbow into his face, felt cartilage crunch, then shoved him backward and finished him with a shot to the chest. Silence. The civilians stared at me. Sumin stared at me. This was not the quiet, forgettable waitress they thought they knew. Go, I told them. Service corridor. Now. They ran. Sumin hesitated, looking at me with something I couldn't read, shock, fear, maybe even gratitude. Mira. Later. She nodded and followed the others. Gerald Whitmore died screaming. He'd been hiding behind an overturned table, clutching his broken wrist, whimpering like the coward he was. When Dongwon's men started pushing toward the service corridor, Gerald decided to make a run for it. He chose the wrong direction. A Song faction bullet meant for Dongwon caught Gerald in the back. He went down hard, thrashing, blood spreading beneath him. Help me, he screamed. Someone help me. No one helped him. He died alone, bleeding out on the floor of a restaurant he'd walked into thinking he was untouchable. A meaningless death. A footnote to larger violence. I didn't feel sorry for him. We need to go. Now. Jae-sun grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the service corridor. Behind us, the remaining Song faction soldiers were regrouping, falling back toward the kitchen. The kitchen where the gas lines were. They're going to ignite it, I said. I know. His voice was grim. Dongwon, cover our exit. Dongwon nodded. He was pale, losing blood, but his eyes were clear. He knew what this meant. Go, he said. I'll hold them as long as I can. Dongwon. Go. Jae-sun hesitated for just a second. Something passed between them, years of loyalty, of shared violence, of brotherhood forged in blood. Then we ran. The service corridor was narrow and dark. We moved fast, stepping over debris, pushing through emergency doors that groaned on their hinges. Behind us, I heard gunfire. Dongwon, holding the line. Then nothing. Then the explosion. The shockwave hit us like a giant's fist, throwing me forward, slamming me into the wall. Heat roared past, singeing my hair, my skin. The building groaned, and somewhere behind us, something collapsed. Jae-sun was on his feet first, pulling me up, dragging me forward. Move. Move. We burst through the emergency exit into the alley behind the restaurant. Cold air hit my face. I gasped, lungs burning, eyes streaming. The sky above was black, but behind us, the jade lily was an inferno, flames roaring through the roof, smoke billowing into the night. Dongwon didn't make it out. I knew without asking. The civilians had. I could see them at the end of the alley, huddled together, being guided away by someone. Emergency sirens wailed in the distance. Sumin was with them. Safe. Something loosened in my chest. Then Jae-sun pulled me aside, away from the light, away from the gathering crowd. The warehouse, he said, voice low. Where we held your brother. It's compromised. How do you know? Because the Song faction found us here. They traced the video call. His jaw tightened. They have Marcus now. Or they killed him. Either way, he's their leverage, against both of us. Both of us. Because Marcus knew I was the killer. And if the Song faction got that information out of him, they'd hunt me to the ends of the earth. Just like Jae-sun had. A black SUV screeched to a stop at the mouth of the alley. Two of Jae-sun's men, survivors from the perimeter, I assumed, were inside. Come with me, Jae-sun said. I looked back at the burning restaurant. at the flames consuming everything I'd built over the past 8 months. At Sumin, being guided toward an ambulance, alive because I'd chosen to act. This life was over. The life I'd tried to build, quiet, invisible, safe, was ash. There was nothing left here for me. Help me finish this, Jason said. And you'll get your chance to face your brother. Marcus. My brother. The man I'd killed for. The man who'd betrayed me. I needed answers. I needed to look him in the eye and understand why. I got in the car. If you are enjoying this video, do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 5. The port district smelled like salt and rust and death. 3 hours had passed since the Jade Lily burned. 3 hours of driving through empty streets, gathering what remained of Jason's forces, planning an assault on a building none of us might walk out of. The Song faction's warehouse loomed ahead, a massive structure of corrugated steel and shadows, surrounded by shipping containers stacked like children's blocks. Armed men patrolled the perimeter, visible even from our position 200 yards away. 16 guards outside, Jason said quietly, studying the building through binoculars. Unknown number inside. Your men. 12. He lowered the binoculars. Not good odds. No. I checked my weapon, a Glock 19 one of his men had given me, along with 3 extra magazines. But we're not here to win a war. We're here to cut off the head. Jason looked at me. In the darkness, his eyes were unreadable. Min Jun will be inside, he said. The Song faction's leader. He's old, but he's survived 4 decades of this life. Don't underestimate him. I won't. And your brother is my problem. My voice came out harder than I intended. Whatever happens to Marcus, that's between me and him. Jason nodded slowly. He didn't argue. Didn't offer sympathy. I appreciated that. We go in 3 minutes, he said, and disappeared into the darkness to coordinate his men. I stood alone, staring at the warehouse where my brother waited. The brother I'd killed for. The brother who'd betrayed me. In 3 minutes, I would finally get my answers. The assault was brutal. We hit them fast and hard, 3 teams breaching simultaneously through different entry points. The element of surprise lasted maybe 30 seconds before the whole building erupted in gunfire. I moved with Jason's team through a side entrance, stepping over the bodies of guards who'd been too slow to react. The warehouse was a maze of corridors and storage rooms, darkness broken only by flickering fluorescent lights. Close quarters combat. The worst kind. A Song faction soldier appeared around a corner, weapon raised. I put 2 rounds in his chest before he could fire. Another came from behind. I heard his footsteps, spun, dropped him with a shot to the head. Jason watched me work. That same calculating expression from before. You're wasted as a waitress, he said. I know. We pushed deeper into the building. More gunfire. More bodies. Jason's men were good, but they were taking casualties. I heard screams, curses, the wet sounds of violence echoing through the corridors. Then I felt it. A pull. An instinct I couldn't explain. Marcus is close. Keep going, I told Jason. I need to find my brother. He grabbed my arm. We stay together. He's here. I pulled free. I can feel it. Cover the main corridor. I'll find him and meet you on the other side. For a moment, I thought he'd argue. Then he nodded. Don't die, he said. Same to you. I broke away from the group and followed my instincts deeper into the warehouse. I found Marcus in a room at the back of the building. He was tied to a metal chair, head slumped forward, barely conscious. His face was worse than before, more bruises, more blood, one eye swollen completely shut. They'd worked him over in the hours since our video call. But he was alive. Marcus. I stepped into the room, weapon raised, scanning for threats. Marcus, can you hear me? He lifted his head slowly. His one good eye focused on me, and something like recognition flickered across his battered face. Mira. His voice was a croak. You shouldn't have come. Shut up. I moved toward him, reaching for the ropes binding his wrists. We're getting out of here. I wouldn't do that if I were you. The voice came from the shadows. I spun, weapon raised. An old man stepped into the light. Silver-haired, distinguished, wearing a perfectly tailored suit despite the chaos around us. He looked like someone's grandfather, kind eyes, weathered face, the sort of man who should be bouncing grandchildren on his knee. But his eyes weren't kind. They were cold. Empty. The eyes of a man who had seen, and done, terrible things. Song Min-jun. The head of the Song faction. He wasn't armed. He just stood there, watching me with a faint smile. The famous assassin, he said. The woman who killed 7 men in 6 minutes and vanished like smoke. He tilted his head. You're younger than I expected. Let my brother go. In a moment. First, I think we should talk. I'm not interested in talking. No. He walked slowly toward Marcus, keeping his hands visible. Non-threatening. Not even about my son. I froze. Ah. His smile widened. So you didn't know. Let me enlighten you. He stopped beside Marcus's chair, resting a hand on my brother's shoulder. Marcus flinched. 3 years ago, you stormed a penthouse in Gangnam and killed 7 men. The leaders of the Baekho syndicate, yes. Murderers and criminals, yes. But also my son. His voice hardened. My only son. Who was in that penthouse for a secret meeting, a peace negotiation that would have ended decades of bloodshed between our organizations. The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. You didn't know he was there, Min-jun continued. You didn't know anything except your rage, your grief, your desperate need to avenge your brother. And because of your ignorance, my son died. A good man. A man who wanted peace. Gone. I couldn't breathe. The war that followed, 3 years of death, of retaliation, of blood, that's your legacy. Thousands of lives destroyed because you couldn't see past your own pain. I didn't know. Ignorance isn't innocence. He drew a gun from his jacket and pressed it against Marcus's temple. You took my son. Now I take your brother. And then I take you. Slowly. The way my son died, confused, afraid, wondering what he'd done to deserve it. Marcus's I found mine. He was shaking, tears cutting tracks through the blood on his face. Mira, he whispered. Just do it. Just shoot him. I'm not worth it. I was never worth any of it. My weapon was raised. I had the shot, but Min-jun was using Marcus as a shield. If I missed, if my hand shook even slightly. Your brother told me everything, you know, Min-jun said. When he sold me that ledger 3 years ago, he also sold you. He told me that a mysterious assassin was his own sister. A graduate student from Chicago who learned to kill for love. His lip curled. I've known who you were this entire time. I've been waiting for this moment. Marcus had sold me out. Completely. Totally. 3 years ago. Everything I'd suffered, the running, the hiding, the fear, he could have ended it. Could have warned me. Instead, he'd taken his money and let me twist in the wind. And still, looking at him now, bloody, broken, terrified, I saw my little brother. The boy I'd pushed on swings. The teenager I'd helped with homework. The young man I'd destroyed my life to save. I looked at Min-jun. An old man destroyed by grief, twisted into something monstrous. Just like me. I saw myself in both of them. And I made my choice. I dropped my gun. Min-jun blinked. What are you doing? You're right. My voice was steady. I killed your son. I didn't know he was there, but that doesn't matter. He's dead because of me. Because I was so consumed by rage that I didn't think about who else might get hurt. I stepped closer. Hands empty. Vulnerable. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to pretend I'm innocent. Your son is dead, and I killed him. Nothing I do will ever change that. Minjun stared at me. The gun wavered slightly against Marcus's head. For 3 years, I've been running from what I did, I continued. Running from who I became. But you're right, ignorance isn't innocence. I'm a killer. I'll always be a killer. And I'm tired of pretending otherwise. Silence. Minjun's hand trembled. His eyes glistened with something that might have been tears. For just a moment, one fraction of a second, his guard dropped. 2 shots rang out from the shadows. Minjun jerked, eyes going wide. Blood bloomed on his chest. He staggered, finger tightening on the trigger. The gun fired. Marcus screamed. Minjun fell. I lunged forward, catching my brother as he slumped sideways in the chair. Blood poured from a wound in his chest. Minjun's dying shot had found its mark. No. No, no, no. Jae-sun emerged from the shadows, gun still smoking. He took in the scene with cold efficiency, then moved to secure Minjun's body. I didn't care about Minjun. I was already on my knees beside Marcus, pressing my hands against the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Stay with me. Tears blurred my vision. Marcus, stay with me. Mira. His voice was faint. Fading. It's okay. It's not okay. I'm going to get you out of here. No. He coughed, blood bubbling on his lips. You're not. And that's okay. Marcus. I'm sorry. His hand found mine, squeezed weakly. For everything. For letting you think I was innocent. For using your love as a weapon. For being too weak to tell you the truth. I don't care about that anymore. You should. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. You were always the strong one, Mira. I was just too weak to be what you needed. His grip loosened. His breathing slowed. I love you, I whispered. I know. His eye fluttered closed. I just wish I'd deserved it. He exhaled once. And then he was gone. Dawn broke over the port district. The Song faction was broken, Minjun dead, their leadership scattered, their power shattered in a single night. Jae-sun's men moved through the warehouse, securing prisoners, counting bodies. I sat alone on a shipping container outside, staring at nothing. Marcus's blood was still on my hands. I hadn't washed it off. Couldn't make myself. Footsteps approached. Jae-sun sat beside me, silent. For a long time, neither of us spoke. You could walk away, he finally said. After tonight, the Song faction won't be hunting you. I'd let you disappear. Where would I go? My voice sounded hollow. Dead. I've been disappearing for 3 years. It didn't change anything. It didn't make me anyone other than what I am. And what are you? I looked at him. This man who'd hunted me, threatened me, and then fought beside me. This man who understood violence the way I did, as a tool, a language, a way of life. A killer, I said. Maybe it's time I stopped pretending otherwise. Jae-sun studied me for a moment. Then he offered his hand. Not romance. Not comfort. Partnership. Purpose. A use for my violence, directed at those who deserved it. I took it. 6 months later. The new restaurant rose from the Jade Lily's ashes, same location, different name, different owner. Sumin managed it now, funded by anonymous investors she never asked about. She'd turned it into something warm and welcoming, a place where the staff was treated with respect and the customers knew better than to cause trouble. I visited sometimes. Not often. My life didn't allow for regular schedules. Tonight, I sat at the bar, nursing a drink I didn't really want, watching Sumin work. She looked happy. Settled. She'd found something good in the wreckage of that terrible night. I was glad for her. A commotion near the back of the restaurant caught my attention. A young waitress, new, nervous, maybe 19, was being harassed by a man at table 12. He had her wrist in his grip, saying something that made her face crumple with humiliation. Sumin started to move, but I was already standing. I crossed the restaurant in seconds. The man didn't see me coming until I was right beside him. "Let her go," I said quietly. He looked up, annoyed. "Mind your own business." I grabbed his wrist. Twisted. Not enough to break, just enough to hurt. I said, "Let her go." He released the waitress. She stumbled back, eyes wide. I leaned close to the man, keeping my voice soft enough that only he could hear. "If I ever see you touch another woman like that, I will find you. And I will make you regret it for the rest of your very short life." I smiled. "Do you understand?" He nodded frantically. I released him. He threw money on the table and practically ran for the door. The young waitress stared at me. Who are you?" I just smiled. "A friend." I walked back to the bar, finished my drink, and left a $100 tip for Sumin. Outside, the night air was cool against my face. A black SUV waited at the curb. Jason was inside. "Problem?" he asked as I slid into the passenger seat. "Handled." He nodded and pulled away from the curb. I wasn't a hero. I'd never be a hero. But I could be the consequence no one saw coming. And in a world that created monsters, sometimes that was enough. I know you enjoyed this video. Kindly don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Drop your thoughts in the comments section and share this video to family and friends. The end.